If you're watching this video, my guess is at some point you have realized that Cardano is one of the hottest projects in the whole crypto ecosystem, and that because Charles Hoskinson, the co-founder, has not only laid out a really good vision, but taken the time to involve many brilliant people in creating this ecosystem and the infrastructure to build it strong, that as it comes together, my guess is they built the foundation strong enough that this ecosystem can really grow and thrive. And I think a lot of that is going to start coming together. So I want to lay out the case for you today on why I believe Cardano can hit $30 this bull market and how I think it'll get there. So stay tuned, strap in, and let's get this party started. So is it realistic that Cardano is going to hit $30? We'll talk about what that means to the market cap and how that can happen and how it might play out if it does happen. Now, we went through a month and a half of rough times, and we're possibly not completely out of that. We may have another I think we might have at least one more major dip, and the major whales who are playing in this space, and they move around huge amounts of money, which then pushes the whole market around. And while doing so, they make huge amounts of profit. They may have one last big push and manipulation in them pushing prices down to exhaust anybody's hope that keeps trying to put in longs and liquidate those longs before they then let it go to where it should be going. Now, if you followed my channel, you know that I've been talking about how we had such a huge early rise early this year that it shouldn't have gone up so much, so fast, so early in the year, and yet it did. It probably did because likely those same whales were behind pushing it up, just so that later they can then push it back down in a major correction. And so though many people were calling this the beginning of a 3-year bear market, I never bought into that. Now, as an investor, I do deal in, I guess, percent chances of what could be happening. And so I did weight the chance that we were in a bear market at possibly 10%, but 90% chance that that was just manipulation and that we have much more of a bull run ahead of us. And I have been basing my portfolio and my structure based on that. And the biggest part, or the biggest altcoin in my whole portfolio, is Cardano. And I'm currently assessing, or I'm always assessing, what I think Cardano will do and what it can do, because I have Cardano in my portfolio not as a high risk play, but actually as a lower risk play. But from its current pricing, do I think Cardano could 100x from here this cycle? I'm pretty optimistic with Cardano, but I think that's overly optimistic. I think it can get to $30 from here, which is approximately a 20x. Now, let me share with you how I think that all could happen and could it play out. If this is your first time joining me for the channel, I'm an investor. I talk about not just Cardano. So if you're looking for Cardano news every day, that's not what I bring you, and that's not what I will bring you. What I bring you is different projects. Though Cardano is my largest holding, I look at things as an investor, and so I have different pools within my overall portfolio, Cardano being one of my largest holdings, but then I have a lot diversified into what I would call higher risk stuff that I hope can do 100x or more, or 60x or more. And so if you're looking for Cardano videos every single day, that's not mine, that's not me. And so if you subscribe, you would be disappointed that way. If you're looking for a unique perspective from somebody with an investment background as a professional buyer, that's what I offer. And a lot of what I've been covering recently is projects that you haven't even heard of yet because they haven't come out yet. And it's always hard being the first to introduce a new project to you because those videos get low views because you've never heard of them before. But I have been spending a lot of time the past 2 months looking at a lot of the projects that are coming down the pipeline soon, and the ones that I feel that are strongest that you might want to put on your radar. Those are the ones that I have been covering, because though I realize there's some giants like Cardano and Polkadot that came out 4 or 5 years ago and you no longer can get in at their early pricing, there are some giants of the future that are just launching now that in 4 or 5 years will be absolutely ginormous in their market cap. And so some of what I spend my time looking at is what has that future potential. And that's what you can expect if you subscribe and like my videos. So getting into Cardano some more, let's go ahead and look at coin market cap and let's look at where the price is. So currently, it's about $1.52 today, and if you look at the market cap, that's right around 48 million, almost 48 billion, almost 50 billion. So for this to get to a $30 Cardano, we would have to see the price increase by about 20x. So the bigger question, is that possible? Now, we could look at short-term timelines and we could do our Fibonacci retracements, which we will get into. And that often shows you what it can do in, say, the next 3 months. But I think the bull market might peak out sometime later this year, or if we have 2 waves in this bull market, we might see a big climb and then a retracement and then a really big wave that could happen early next year. And so looking at where it is, we can look at where it's going to go in the short term, but I wanted to talk a lot about where it can go in the long term. So let's get over to TradingView and let's look at Cardano's price. Now I'm currently on the daily TradingView. This is Binance's history on it. Now I like Binance because they have lots of volume. The downside of Binance is their history, at least on this, only goes back to August 2020. So it doesn't show us any of 2017 data. But it does have pretty accurate data here, including these long wicks that happen on Binance, even though Binance has such high liquidity. So this gives us a really good idea for charting. Now, I have drawn in here a Fibonacci retracement, and I'm just going to remove that and draw it again in case you're unfamiliar with how that works. So I put in here just a major resistance line that's turned support. We could even put in a few more of these where this is a major line here, and it's playing right around that line, and so it'll be telling whether it bounces up from here or whether it comes down, because if it does break through this, there aren't huge levels of support between here and coming all the way back down to $1 where it played around with for a very long time. And if it broke through here, it would come down tremendously. Now, do I know what they're going to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks? That's a lot harder to tell than what I think it'll do in the next 3 months. So why don't we talk about what it might do in the next 3 months? And then we'll talk about what it could do before the end of the bull market. So what we're looking for here is the Fibonacci retracement pattern. And we want to draw that out. So we're going to start it way back here for when it hit some pretty serious resistance before around 10 cents. Taking it all the way to their peak at around $2.50. And we'll see that it retraced right along to this 61.8 line here, but a lot of the major resistance it's been fighting around is close to the 38.2. Now, what's nice about the Fibonacci retracement is it also gives you extensions for when it has traded sideways long enough to build up enough momentum and enough accumulation to go forward. And let me share with you why it goes through these patterns. Do you realize that many of the people that brought the price down from here are people that bought way back here? So what happens is it hits this price, it's no longer going up. They don't know how low it's going to go, so they're very happy with the returns they've made on it. So they sell, and then more sell, and more sell, and more sell. And then it hits a price where it hits resistance, and a lot of buying starts happening. And then more people are just deciding they're going to go ahead and take some profits out. And that's what causes this sideways trading for a while it builds momentum, because everybody who purchases in this zone here, many of them are going to be patient and they're going to wait to sell at a massive profit. So the more exchanging that happens at this price, the more likely many of those holders are going to hold long term. And that's why in a bull market, when it trades sideways for a while, it's almost like pulling back a rubber band and letting go. And that's often what we see. And the longer it trades sideways, the more momentum it builds up for then it to shoot up and skyrocket. And so if we look at this Fibonacci extension, and it came to this line here, which is, I know, a little bit hard to see, but that is often a take profit 1 zone for when I'm doing shorter term trades, as well as a take profit 2 zone if it's the 1.618. And so in the short term, once it's pulled back enough and ready to shoot off, the likelihood that it goes to these numbers is pretty high if we still are in a bull market, which I believe we are. The question is, where can it go longer term? What will often happen is we will see something like this, and it will go like something like this. Then it will then go through a big retracement, and you have to draw out a new Fibonacci retracement and look at some numbers. And so it then trades sideways for a while before does kind of this thing, before then hitting one last major hurrah during this bull market, is my guess how it plays out. And that this last hurrah, things will go crazy. And when they do, what happens is a lot of people that have been waiting on the sidelines, they see prices going up. They see everybody they know who had already bought into crypto talking about how they made, 300% returns or 500% returns or 6x returns or 10x returns. And then they start throwing their money in wildly. And that's why in bull markets, some prices get hit that should never get hit. And we see massive, massive gains. And I remember this from 2017 at the fever pitch of the market. And you saw things hit prices that were completely unrealistic for the time, and yet they hit them. And that's my guess, is it comes all the way up to here before then pulling a number like this and then entering the longer bear market. Now, if you are looking for a person on YouTube that can draw straight lines, I'm sorry to disappoint you. That's probably never going to be the case for me. My drawing skills are terrible. It's my analysis skills that got me hired for the position that I did for forever, and that has made my portfolio do really well in crypto. Now, do note that I've only been in crypto for 4 years, so it's not like I can say I've been in the space for 10 years and been long-term here. No, just 4 years, and I did, even though I had such a background in investment, I did have to learn some lessons the hard way in 2017, 2018. And so I like to share with you those lessons to help you avoid as many as possible. The type of content I provide, what I'm hoping for, is to build an audience of people that are committing themselves to this space, not just for this bull run. And the goal is to make as much money this bull run as possible, obviously, for each of us. But they're committing themselves to at least 5 years to the space, because the reason is, if you're new in this space, the likelihood that you'll make some errors is pretty big, as well as the likelihood that you'll make life-changing wealth in one cycle. I would say that likelihood is rather low. And the reason is you're always bad at something before you're good at it. Now, some of you will have some lucky strikes that'll do pretty well, but life-changing wealth doesn't usually come in your very first cycle. What happens, though, is people put these expectations that are completely unrealistic, and they try to go from $1,000 to $7 million in one cycle. That likelihood is extremely low. The bigger question is that likely and possible in 2 cycles? Likely is an interesting word. It depends on how many good decisions you make. But if you commit yourself to being here for the long term, your probability of that becoming reality for you goes way, way up, because your first cycle is going to be a big part of your learning curve. And the better information you can get, you can learn from your mistakes better, or possibly even learn some mistakes that were made by others, so you don't have to go through it. Setting yourself up well to take profits during this bull run so that you have a lot of liquid capital ready to deploy during the next bull market. And I know as we get into the heat of the bull market, you will hear people saying, and it happens every time, oh, this time it's different. It's never coming down from here. And yet it will. It does every single time. So maybe the sun won't rise tomorrow, and maybe the crypto market won't crash this time, but it's followed like clockwork that every 4 years there is a massive bull run followed by a big retracement and a bear market, which creates some of the most amazing buys ever. You got a small taste of that the last 4 weeks of what a bear market feels like. It's much longer and it's much more boring than what you just experienced, but it is the best time to then be deploying some of that capital that you took profits on from this cycle, and preparing to have the next cycle help you create complete life-changing wealth. Now, I call those that subscribe to my channel the Rainmakers, and Rainmakers for your own financial future, right? So this has already completely changed my financial future, and I hope it changes each of your financial future, but that's likely if you commit to the longer term of 5 years. In nine years, if you commit for that many cycles, you're likely to do exceptionally well in this space. So with that said, I do thank all of you for joining me on my review and analysis of Cardano. It is my favorite altcoin that's out there. And unfortunately, the price isn't 2 cents anymore. But at $1.50, I still think it has plenty of room to run from here. And so just giving you overall exactly what my thoughts are. Now, none of this is financial advice. I'm definitely not a financial advisor. I'm really good at doing well for myself. I tried to explain to you the reasons why I do things and how I think about it to help give you some insight in why I make these decisions. But a lot of this information is what I am basing my own decisions based on. And for each of you, you have to decide for yourself what information you're going to base your decisions on. Thank you. I do have a song to leave you with. This is a song by one of the Rainmakers out there who created this for all of you Rainmakers. Thanks so much for joining us. I will see you next time. Oh, also, if you're looking for good interaction, I do have a Telegram channel. Feel free to join it. The link is below, and I do get on there frequently. In fact, some things I don't have time to post a video on, I post in there, such as there is a Cardano project that's doing a pre-sale. It's a special one, and I have some information in there. If you join the Telegram and looked at the pinned messages, I think it's in there. Also, you can join me on Facebook at Crypto Rainn with 2 N's. You can find my channel there. And yeah, if you're looking to see some of the past videos I've covered and how well they've done, feel free to look at that as well on the channel, and we will see you next time.
Success is falling, flowing like rain. The timing's right, we're getting paid. Come on, Rainmakers, let's make this happen.